This ChatGPT is going to eat the business or job of a lot of SEO copywriters, or it is a new opportunity for SEO owners, agency owners, and copywriters. What is your take on ChatGPT in a detail?
So that's a win-win opportunity for everybody because you get the opportunity to learn more, experience more, help your client. They have no risk, but you're still incentivized that if you deliver results, then you get paid for your time.
On top, you mentioned this thing a decade ago beat a $1 billion company by outranking their websites on Google. Can you please throw more light on it? Like what does happen exactly and how did this happen? Nowadays, people are talking that SEO is not working. SEO is a very slow process. Whereas few marketers are also mentioning that SEO is dead. So, what is your view on this point of view? Hi everyone, welcome to the Entrepreneurs Warrior Show. This is where we interview entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants who are expert in their niche. And in this amazing series of interviews, today we have a super awesome guest with us. He is the founder of SEO National. He has been featured in publication including Entrepreneurs Magazine, Forbes, BuzzFeed, USA Weekly. He has helped high profile clients make more in a month than they used to in a year. He's a following easy to follow approach to increasing your revenue and online visibility, which is crazy, right? His book Outrank serves as a guide for those who wants to dominate Google search result without paying for ads. And in the decade of running a global team, surprisingly, he's never made any of his team in person. He's an expert on how to manage a remote team. That's crazy. We are going to discuss so many things. He went on to build an international search engine marketing company that worked with NBA teams and INC 5000 and Shark Tank featured business. So without further ado, let's have Damon on the stage. Hi Damon, how are you?
Hey, Nilesh, I'm good. Thanks for having me. When I watched you start the intro reel, it was cool. I saw a lot of my good friends on there, so that was cool to see some familiar faces.
Yes, we have a lot of people from this show. So thank
Yeah.
you so much, by the way, for joining us on the Entrepreneurs Warrior Show. It's really awesome to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So Damon, could you share a little bit about yourself or your backstory on how you got started? Because there is a few people in my audience who have no idea about you. So can you please share about you?
Yeah, so I've owned an SEO agency for almost 17 years. The way I got into it was my background was originally web design. So I had a client ask me, "What do I know about Google?" And I said, "I know enough that I can probably help you." But here, this is a fun story because it's an opportunity for new entrepreneurs to figure out creative ways to start doing business. So this client said, "What do you know about Google?" And I said, "I know enough that I think I can help you, but I don't know enough that I feel comfortable charging you, but I also don't want to work for free." So what I did is I said, how about we come to an agreement on what the goals are? And then if I hit those goals, then you owe me retroactively and we start a monthly retainer. So what's cool about that is I hit those goals. They ended up becoming a client. So 17 years later, they're still a client. And then I took that same opportunity to another client. They accepted, hit the goals. They started a retainer. They're also still a client. But if you think about that, that's really cool because a lot of times people will ask, well, I don't know how much to charge and, I'm not the best, but I want the experience. So that's a win-win opportunity for everybody because you get the opportunity to learn more, experience more, help your client. They have no risk, but you're still incentivized that if you deliver results, then you get paid for your time. So after that, I said, I like SEO and I stuck to SEO. So there's the end piece I missed.
Wow, amazing. And the one point that you mentioned, the first client that you started serving for free when you are not confident enough, and he is still with you in
Mhm.
last 17 years. That is completely crazy because the level of value that you deliver, right? That's
Yeah.
why he's still continuing his journey and 17 years of experience you are going to get, guys. So make sure you open your notebook and collect the notes that Damon is going to share with us. So going through your about section, on top you mentioned this thing, a father and a husband a decade ago beat a $1 billion company by
Mhm.
outranking their websites on Google. How did you like? Can you please throw more light on it? Like, what does happen exactly, and how did this happen? What methodology did you apply?
Yeah, so this is about a year before I started my agency, so
Yeah.
about 18 years ago. I think it was 2005 or 2006, if I remember right. My wife watches The Bachelor, so it's a reality TV show for those that might not be familiar. And at the end of the season, what they do is they feature these gentlemen, and they try and it's like a dating show. And at the end of the season, she would have me come watch the finales with her. And at the end of this one season, what they used to do is they'd when the episode was over, they'd say, "Come back in a few weeks, and we'll tell you who the new bachelor is." But this year, they announced who the new bachelor was, and so I thought that was weird that they announced it early, and I knew it had to be for a reason, so I started wondering why. And so the entrepreneur in me was curious what the marketing strategy was, why they announced this early or differently than they used to. So I looked up the guy's name. His name was Andy Baldwin, and I couldn't find a lot of information about him. And so I got thinking that if I know how to use search engines and I can't really find a lot, and I'm not super interested in this guy, but there are millions of other people that are now really interested in him, and they probably don't know how to use search engines as well as I am, as well as I did. Then I realized there was an opportunity there. And so I went and found whatever public information I could find about this guy, and I started a website, andybaldwin.net. And so then I optimized it as much as I knew how at the time. And that week, within just a couple of days, I was outranking ABC's The Bachelor website. ABC is $1 billion company. And so I ended up putting ads on it, made some passive income on that. But it was that was right before I started my agency because so it's a fun story because it was just one of those other experiences where I learned that there's opportunity in this industry, and that kind of added another layer of my interest to SEO.
That's really amazing, and I'm visualizing the moment that happened. Like, how did you implement and all those things? It's really a powerful thing that you just share. Thank you for sharing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you are mostly into SEO and all those things, right? So nowadays, people are
Mhm.
mentioning that are talking that SEO is not working. SEO is a very slow process. SEO is whereas few marketers are also mentioning like SEO is dead. So, what is your view on this point of view?
SEO dies about every 6 weeks, it seems like. So it's nothing new to hear that SEO is dead. Usually, the people that get stuck are using either old practices or they're distracted by new shiny objects. So I kind of take a different approach. In the 17 years, I've never had a client get a penalty. Anytime there's an algorithm change, we're either neutral or up, but we're never down. And the reason what I believe why is because we stick to the basics. Every time we launch a new account, we have well documented processes. We have a couple hundred tasks that get launched with a new account. But all those processes primarily fall into three simple categories. So, one category is website structure. So, does it load quickly? Is it mobile friendly? Good user experience? The second category is content. You can only show up on search engines for what they can read. So, do you clearly communicate your value propositions and why your product and service is better? And then the third is external credibility. Do other websites link to you? Do they talk about your brand and product? Do they mention you? So what happens is every time there's like a new thing, everybody gets distracted. Like right now, everybody's distracted by ChatGPT. And so that's not to say that there's value or not value, that's a different conversation. But everybody's taken their focus off of the core fundamentals, just the basics of SEO. So if you think about any of the major algorithm changes over the years, we can go way back to 2011 and 2012. Google had two really big updates. One was called Penguin, which was about credibility. The other one was called Panda, which is about content. And so if you think about those, we talked about three main areas of SEO: site structure, content, credibility. Those algorithms were site structure or were content and credibility. And then like if you think about newer ones, everyone asks about, well, what about voice? And if you think about voice, nobody's on the other side of a microphone recording answers for Google. What is happening is voice is just a question. It's an input and an output. But what happens is Google goes, what website do I trust? Who has the right answer? Which one can I find the fastest? And so those things: find the fastest, good site structure. Who has the right answer? Good content. Who can I trust? External credibility. So even new things like voice are still just the same old three areas. And so it's like if you just focus on those basics of those three areas, and as the new things come along, you can adopt them and experiment with them, but try and figure out how they align with those three basics of SEO.
Yes, that's a great point you just mentioned. 3 points that people are following the old practice, and because of that, they are not able to get the new things, and they feel that it is a dead. So, any new practice that they implement, do you want to recommend any new practice? You just mentioned 3 points. Any other than all other things for new practice?
Every Everything we do is some form of those three things. So there might be, even with like ChatGPT, right? It's like, so we don't use ChatGPT. I mean, this opens up a whole other discussion. So I'll try and keep this a little bit short in my reply. But like with ChatGPT, like we're not. It sounds amazing and romantic, and there's lots of opportunity there. But from an SEO perspective, there's a lot of liabilities. So one is when you have ChatGPT create content, where did it get the content from? So it's highly susceptible to being manipulated or inaccurate. So you have to fact check that content. Okay, that's fine. But then who owns the content? Because you didn't write it, ChatGPT wrote it. But where did ChatGPT get the base information that it wrote it from? So there's a lot of potential liabilities. But where we're considering using it is like, okay, this is great for idea creation. Don't use it for content output because of those liabilities. But now you can go, okay, are there any other things that we can write about that we haven't thought about? But that still just falls into that category of content. So anything that there's new tool, new opportunity, we look at it and go, how can we use this to improve our existing processes of those three categories?
Yes, that's true. As you are talking about ChatGPT, so I want to discuss like this ChatGPT is going to. You already mentioned, but this ChatGPT is going to eat the business or job of a lot of SEO copywriters, or it is a new opportunity for SEO owners, agency owners, and copywriters. What is your take on ChatGPT in a detail?
So I think it's a balancing trick. It's not good, it's not bad. So what you have to figure out is the biggest opportunity is, like you said, content creation, but that's also the biggest liability. And then it's also the easiest way to take and cut corners. So the biggest potential problem the copywriters have are becoming lazy. Use it, but don't become lazy. Because what can happen is there's even if it's a small difference, because the idea of ChatGPT and AI is not new. There's been a dozen different programs that have come out before it. Now, ChatGPT is the most advanced and produces the best output that we've seen, but your readers can tell the difference between what is AI written and what is human written. Even if it's getting better, it's still a long ways away. And so there's a real easy opportunity to become lazy and just start putting stuff in ChatGPT, taking the results, copying and pasting it. So the people that are going to win are the ones that leverage the technology, but still take the time to add the human touch and manually edit it. So use it, figure out how you can make it work best for you, but don't become lazy and still figure out how to add your own personality to it. That's going to be the difference in who wins this game of production and copywriting and leveraging these tools is who can add personality.
Yeah, that's true. Use it more. Just do some changes or get some ideas, but don't depend only on that tool. Otherwise, you become lazy. And you, I'm also feeling sometimes if I only depend on ChatGPT, I'm losing my creativity.
Hmm.
Going to lose my creative mind. So we just need to get idea, but not fully depend on that one point. Right? That's amazing. So, yeah, you are saying something.
It comes down to soft skills. So soft skills are personality, and that's what is going to separate everybody who survives and dies as technology evolves. Not just with AI and ChatGPT, but like when you think about all these tools in the workforce that are automating jobs, the people that survive are the ones that are creative or have soft skills, personality skills, engagement skills, communication skills. So it's the same thing, just like you said. It creates an opportunity to lose your creativity. So the people that keep their creativity are the ones that are going to win over the long term.
That's so true. That's making sense because it's all about the coming up with our own creative ideas, creative thoughts, and that's where we win. And
Yeah.
yeah, you are someone who is running a global team from decade and without meeting with any of your team member in person. So how you are managing all those things? Would you like to share with my audience on how they also maintain their team, how they build the team that actually help them and without even meeting with them in person?
Yeah, I just barely met some of my team for the first time,
Okay.
just recently. So in person, the and I'd put their loyalty up against anybody. So my longest team member's been with me for about 15 years, and so
Wow.
I've never had anybody quit. I've had to let people go, but I've had nobody quit. And so what I've done is I've created an environment of independence and recognition. And to be able to do that, the other component is documented processes. Like you have to maintain a team and grow a team at scale while also giving them their independence requires them to have clear direction. But I don't want to micromanage. And team members are not productive under micromanagers. But the fear that micromanagers have is losing quality control. So your team is as good or as bad as the documentation that you can provide them. So what I did is years ago, I sat down and documented all of our processes. And when I did it sucked. I'm not saying it was amazing. It wasn't fun. It took forever, but now it's worth it because now we can launch an account and it will assign over 200 tasks to different team members with different due dates with perfect documentation. So then what happens is you can scale and maintain your quality control and now your business is dependent on your processes and not people. And so you can have people, if they come and go, or if they change responsibilities, or they switch departments, as long as they can do two things. One is read, and two is follow directions. If they can do those two things, then you can maintain that quality control. You can increase your revenue, you can increase your productivity, you can grow your team without everything falling apart, right? So, but then what I do is just we just talked about soft skills and communication. So then what I do is I give my team autonomy, and I don't care what days they work, I don't care what hours they work, just as long as their work is getting done. And then what I do is when we onboard new team members, I figure out when their birthday is, I figure out what things they like, and then I record their work anniversary, and then I send them little things. I'll send them handwritten thank you cards that says, I appreciate your contributions. Whenever I'm on social media, like I'm always looking for little things, not just for my team member, but other contacts too, like friends, clients, people that I want to meet. I look for opportunities of what are they doing? What makes them happy in life? Did they have something that happened for them? And then I'll send them gifts or I'll send them acknowledgments. I basically just become everybody's cheerleader. And then through that, it creates an environment where everybody wants to support each other. And then that's how we've been able to grow and maintain quality control because it creates kind of like a little family environment.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. The time when you mention, like I'm not checking when on which day they are working, on what time they are working. That is literally a giving them a real freedom, and that's they
Hmm.
are looking for. At the end, they are giving their task on time. That is matters the most. Other
Yeah.
than nothing is working, nothing is matter. Like on which day they are working, on what time, are they working on 9 to 5 or not? That is literally not matter, and that's the
Yeah.
real happiness they are having with their work. So they don't want to leave you,
No,
right?
you no, you're completely right. It's a sense of fulfillment.
Yes.
People want to feel like they're contributing to something bigger than
Yes.
themselves, but they want to they don't want that thing that they're contributing to also take them away from the other things that they care about, which is their family or their hobbies or their personal time.
That's awesome. That's really literally awesome. So you are in the service business, and many marketers who are in the service business mention that I don't want to publish content. I don't think I need to publish content because I am into service business. But I found you are publishing a lot. You also have a podcast called the Learning from Others.
Mhm.
So how it helps you in your business? Do other marketers also need to start their podcast, Facebook Live, YouTube journey? The people who is into service business, or yeah, what's your thought on this?
So I would say yes, publish content, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's, start a YouTube channel, start a podcast channel, start all these things. I've actually done things very slowly. So I only I've been wanting to start contributing on YouTube for probably over 10 years. But here's the difference is I didn't want to get distracted. So as much as exciting as it was and how eager I was to start publishing on YouTube, I didn't want to do it by screwing something else up. Or earlier we talked about distractions. So I'm very good about staying focused. So once I make a decision on what a goal is, or what path the company is heading down, I don't let other things distract me until we accomplish that goal. And so the podcast, I did for about 2 years, and then I paused. I paused for about 2 years. So I only just recently started re-recording, because what had happened was, we've talked about a lot of things, and they're all kind of interconnected. So one of the things is that I've never spent any money on ads, but every year we continue to grow. And so part of that is the reputation, the credibility, and staying focused and delivering a good product. So as we hit a growth spurt about 2 years ago that was faster than normal. And so I was running out of time in the day. And so I had to make a decision. There wasn't anything I wanted to get rid of, but I didn't have a choice but to get rid of something. And so the podcast was one of those things that I had to pause. But I had recorded so many in advance that I was able to release episodes weekly for a year without ever recording a new episode. So that content can be used in lots of different ways. So let me actually take a step back. So at the beginning of this question, I said, create content, but don't get distracted. So for me, when I hit that growing pain, my content was only Facebook, and then my team will republish it on LinkedIn. So I was only on those two channels. I didn't do YouTube, I didn't do Instagram, I didn't do Twitter, I didn't do all those other things. Just now, we're now starting to republish and repurpose that content on those other platforms, because we've created a system and a process out of it. So now we can do those things without taking more of my time. So when I do the podcast, then I can give that to my team, and then the team goes through and they find the little things of value that they can share, and then they cut that up, and then that goes to Instagram or wherever. But I don't, so now we're in 10 different places, but I only had to make one recording. And so now I can still stay focused without getting distracted. So yes, publish content, but don't do it if it causes other problems or distractions.
Yes, distraction is kill a lot of your main work. So you need to avoid the distraction. That's really powerful point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So you also you are working with a lot of big brands in the market, and how does people who is watching this interview, who is watching this listening this podcast,
Mm.
if they also want to get a gig from big brands, big want to work with the big clients, how do they approach? What is the first steps do they need to follow? Yes, you are into business from last 17 years,
Mm.
but if somebody is completely new, what kind of approach they also apply into their journey?
So your last question is the answer to this one. So it's published content. So
Yeah.
we only get leads from two places. One is from referrals, and those referrals are because we deliver a good product. So become really good at what you do. So you
Yeah.
can do, kind of at the beginning, we talked about how I offered to basically work for free until we hit a goal, and then if we hit the goal, then they paid. So that's one way to start getting clients, because that's no risk to them. But if you deliver the service, then you get paid. But then the other answer is your previous question about publishing content. Most of our leads now, so we still get a lot of referrals, but now we also get a lot of leads from social media. And I don't mean paid ads. What I do is I post on LinkedIn Monday through Friday. And every time I just give away the answers. So that's part of your question is, how much do we publish, or should we publish, and should we give away the answers, or should we protect our secrets? So I value the clients that I'm going for value time more than money. So if I give them the answer, they're not going to take the answer. They're going to acknowledge that I'm the expert that has the answer, and then they want to pay you. So if you give away the answers on social media, in my mind, there's only three types of content consumers. The first type of content consumer is somebody that sees that you're an expert and takes your advice, and then maybe they do go try it by themselves. But that's okay, because they were never your client anyway, but now you increased your reputation. The
Yes.
second type of content consumer is somebody that says, they're an expert, I don't need them now, but I'm going to come back when I do need them. Or the third type of content consumer is the person that just buys now. So there's three types of content consumers, and all of them benefit you. So if you go look at my social media, I almost never have a call to action. Instead, I just go, here's the answers. And then what happens is now I am no longer one of the SEO options. I become the only SEO option because I'm the one that is always helping them and building trust and expertise, and they get to know you and trust your advice.
That is something really bulb on idea we got from this podcast. Literally, just delivering the value. We are only person in the market who can dominate the market. That's the really amazing point, guys. If you are listening us and watching us, make sure you work on this point. Really powerful. Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
So, Damon, you started your journey in 2007, and right now it's a 2023. So, what kind of changes have happened in the SEO industry, and this changes in 2007? How was the SEO? Like, it was easy, or nowadays it is much easy? How was it?
I don't want to say it was easy, but yeah, it was probably easier. It probably wasn't easy because we didn't know as much.
Yeah.
And I talked about the three areas of SEO. They're still the same,
Yes.
but they were weighted different. Some of them had one of those three might have had more value than the other. Now they're a lot more balanced, and so some of the efforts that you can make would drive a result a lot quicker. So I think all of us SEOs nowadays would be bazillionaires if we knew what we knew now and could apply it, 10, 20 years ago. So it was still basically the same things. It's just that there was less competition. There was less tools that you could use to do things better and faster. But it's still, in my opinion, it's still those three areas: content, structure, and external credibility.
This is something really great, and the main thing is if we just implement and work on it, it is going to help us in literally awesome way. And it is something a very powerful digital asset that we can utilize for long term growth, right?
Yeah, one other comment that comes to mind is we talked about distractions and ChatGPT and those things. Like, how many of you listeners know somebody that is now a ChatGPT expert, even though it only came out a couple months ago? And then before that, how many people were crypto consultants and experts? And
Yes.
then before that, how many of them were whatever was new and shiny and distracting before that? So then over time, you lose your credibility and your reputation because then they go, well, he's always changing what he does, or I don't know what he does because the other month he did this other thing. But then if you look at the people that stay focused on one thing
Yeah.
over the years, you know that they are an expert because they've been doing it forever. And then you forget about all the other people that have changed all the other topics and focuses. So it may not be the fastest way to build up, a big empire or business, but it is one of the most consistent uh, ways that you can sustain it long term.
Yes, it makes sense. It makes sense. And I saw your one interview, which is content is profit. There you talking about learning guitar. So did you learn or
I
not?
just I just so the guitars, I don't know if you can see them here in this view here. Let's see if I can move this slightly. So there's some
Yes.
guitars here on the back wall. There's a story behind those. I've wanted to learn guitar for a long time. My family, my grandparents have been musically inclined. One of them won I think it was like an Emmy or something for musical composition, or Oscar, whichever one is music. And
Yes.
I followed music into radio. So I worked on air in radio in a big city for 7 years. And throughout all this time, I've met a bunch of great musicians, but I never started learning. And I know why. I know why because I know that I like to do things well and predictably. And just, we talked about documenting processes. So it's like, I
Yes.
want
Yes.
to have a process to learn guitar. And I'm not saying, I know it's not the right answer, but it's just the way it is. And so what happened was I never started because I knew it's like running a marathon. Like, the
Yes.
training is way harder than actually running a marathon because you have to do it for months before you run a marathon for one day. It's like that for guitar. Like, you have to train forever and learn forever before you become good at it. But then what happened is when COVID happened, I had like 4 days where I didn't know what business was going to look like, if things were going up or down. I had like one client cancel, and then I said, okay, if more cancel, then maybe now is my time. I can learn guitar. Maybe I'll have free time. So
Yeah.
I bought the guitars, and then after 4 days, the total opposite happened. Business exploded, and
Oh,
so that the guitars sat there in that corner for a year, and then I finally bought a little stand to hang them on, and so they sat there for about 2.5 years, and I said, this is stupid, I need to learn. And so about 2 months ago I finally started learning.
wow. That means finally you learned it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Literally, because it was your second interview with them, and they ask you same question. That
uh-huh.
yeah, you mentioned
Yeah,
finally that yes, two
yeah,
months ago you learned it. Awesome. Thank you for
yeah.
sharing this. Really awesome. Yeah. Where do people can find you, Demo?
So I have a book that I wrote on SEO, as you mentioned, called Outrank. If you go to freeseobook.com, on there it has all my social media. It also gives you the book. There's no upsell. It's free on the thank you page. It invites you to upcoming Facebook group. But on there you can get the book and then find everything else too.
Yeah, I'm going to drop the link, and I also see like your book has got the testimonial from the Grant Cardone. That's literally awesome,
Oh
right?
yeah, he sent me a video. Yeah, I
Yes.
sent him a message. I don't know Grant very personally or anything, but I
Yeah.
sent him a copy of my book, and he was kind enough to send me back a video that said congratulations. He was funny because he said something like, you know, I wish I don't trust SEOs because I don't know enough about it,
Mm.
but I can trust somebody that wrote a book about it. So I thought that was a pretty interesting comment.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's literally powerful. Go guys, you need to read the book if you are really wanted to scale with SEO. I'm going to drop the link in the chat box in the description. Go and check that out. So, Demon, before we wrap up the show, any suggestion to the upcoming entrepreneurs? Any three advice from you?
I would just elaborate on what we were talking about staying focused. A lot of times, entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs overcomplicate things. I would say to find success is in its simplest form is two steps. One is figure out what you want to do and start, and then once you start, don't stop. Like people
Yeah,
just get distracted too easily or they give up too easily. It's not that it's easy, but it's worth it. So just figure out what you're doing and stay focused.
that's so true. That's so true. Three. That's the advice from Damon. And thank you so much, everybody. Nilesh Jan and Damon Burton is signing off from the Entrepreneurs Warrior Show. Till then, bye bye. Have a great day.